Welcome to the Insightful Player podcast. My name is Chrissy Carew. I'm the host and founder of Insightful Player and the author of Insightful Player, Football Pros Lead a Bold Movement of Hope. I partner with NFL players to transform our world to be inclusive, kinder, and more loving. In each episode, I interviewed NFL players and NFL vets who overcame tremendous obstacles to reach their dream of playing in the NFL. And I'm also a transformational coach. I empower my clients to embrace their dreams, to transform their world and the world around them. And we want you to believe in your dreams and encourage you to commit to them now. Humanity is in trouble. We need you. We all need to do this. We need to embrace our dreams and share them with others so we can have an immediate positive impact on making our world a much kinder place. We invite you to become an important part of our bold movement of hope. Watch this podcast, share it with others, and let us know what you want to see and hear to support you in becoming an insightful player in your life. Thank you. Welcome to the Insightful Player podcast. Today we have on a very, very special guest, but before I introduce him, I want to encourage you all to these midterms are really, really important. And I know a lot of people don't usually take the midterms so seriously, but if you could please go out and vote. It's so important right now. Country's in jeopardy. And just vote from your heart, and we'd all appreciate it, okay? And I'll probably bug you again. So today we have on Dave Stokes. Now, Dave, I met 10, 12 years ago. He made me say he's a long ago retired player who won 2 Super Bowls. He's a dedicated humanitarian, chaplain, victim advocate, and also supports people in hospice. He is an amazing person with a humongous heart, and he has a tremendous, tremendous internal drive to give and contribute to those that need it most. He was in the business world, and he was a leader in sales and an executive, but it wasn't until you were in your late 30s that you found your true calling, right?
Yeah. I had football was an amazing part of my life, both in high school, college, and in the pros. But I had pursued a number of things, from marine biology to shark behavior research, veterinary medicine, and then into the business world. And I learned a lot in each of these attempts to find my next professional pursuit, and learned a lot. But also, one of the things I learned is none of those really fit me, at least where I was at that time in my life. And it's when I found the nonprofit world. This was after leading Denver's recreation department. It was the young people that I had met prior to leaving recreation department that together we created a youth center out of nothing. And it became quite an amazing place. And then I went on to lead a couple other nonprofits, and then created my last nonprofit, which is still up and operating, and really proud of it. It's called the Street Fraternity. And if anybody's interested, they can look at streetfraternityusa.org. It's usa.org because most of our young people are former refugees from many African countries, Burma and Bhutan, but they're in the most violent neighborhood in the Denver metro area. Anyway, it's a wonderful group of young men, a lot of violence in our lives through them, and I'm still an advisor to them, but the city got way too much for me. And so I've moved somewhat, and now I'm not so much in Metro Denver anymore, but still very engaged with the community, like you said, as a victim advocate, and then also a on again, off again, spiritually independent hospital chaplain, and then also as a hospice volunteer. So yeah, it's I love the work that I do.
It's beautiful. And you spent the time up in the mountains, didn't you?
Yeah. Probably about, I don't know, 13, 14 years ago, I started noticing, and I'm 67 now. So I started noticing in my mid to late 50s that things were just changing inside my head. They just weren't clicking like they had for most of my life, both from a memory standpoint as well as just a cognitive ability to put together pieces and understand and not get confused by just different various elements that I needed to keep in my mind. And it was disappearing. It's one of the biggest reasons why I retired from paid nonprofit leadership, is just my mind wouldn't do it anymore. And part of that, I believe, caused a increasing sensitivity to speed, the violence, the crowdedness of Metro Denver. And I just couldn't do it anymore without fearing my own susceptibility to my own anger and violence. And so I gradually eventually found a place up in the mountains, northwest of Fort Collins, that was called the Shambhala Mountain Center. It's now called the Drala Mountain Center. And I started going to some programs there, and then eventually started living there for weeks or months at a time. And I lived there 2 or 3 times, at least, over the last, I don't know, five or more years. And it really helped me to practice living my life slower, more contemplative, in a place that just wasn't as hurried and as crowded and as expensive and just angry. And in my opinion, it really saved my life, in that I was able to practice living more contemplatively. And so I really appreciate many of the Buddhist teachings. I'm not a Buddhist, but I appreciate many of their most basic teachings. And so that really kind of helped me steer away from the big city. But anyway, yeah, it's funny because for the last, 25 years, I've been in a world of young people's violence to themselves and violence to others, and have purposely chosen that. And as a football player, my profession was to be the best violent defensive tackle and attack the biggest human beings on this planet that are trained to attack me. And now it wasn't meant for us to truly hurt or kill each other, which is more certainly of stepping into the violence of the military world. But it still demanded that I find and grow and hone the violent animal inside of me. And so it was fascinating for me to gradually, over many years, get to know gang members, gang leaders, homeless, LGBTQ, many young people that are living more in a street-oriented way. And over time, they taught me a great deal. And together we've built at least two main places to just be home, away from home for them, as nighttime youth centers. And again, check out streetfraternityusa.org if you're interested in learning more about them.
Definitely. We'll add those to the show notes so people can go click on that, for sure. It's really remarkable. And that must have been so tough, having a cognitive decline show up. And do you think that was from playing football?
I know a lot of it is from football. I mean, it's at the same time, I don't ask anybody to feel sorry for me or anybody that chooses to professionally hit their head against large people. I mean, it's just, looking back, it's not the smartest thing to do. And we even did it, and we weren't even making millions of dollars. And so that's that even makes us a little more suspect. Yeah, I know that a lot of this is from, and in fact, it's been verified within the NFL concussion settlement, and so processed with the doctors. And so I have been diagnosed with something that is considered early dementia. And so I'm on a path of continuing to lose cognitive ability and memory and other brain-related issues. And I'm not really sure how quickly it will continue to, I don't think progress is the right word, but to continue to get worse. I hope not, but it's my understanding of our knowledge of dementia at this point in stage in our scientific and medical world is that it can't be slowed down, and it cannot be solved. Now, maybe in future years it will, and I'm part of some of the research at Boston University. I just really, really love Boston University's CTE and Alzheimer's program. And so I'm working with some of the best in the world in that. Yeah.
Do you get to Boston?
I do. I just got back from Boston last week. It was, I go out about once a year to participate in their research. They do all kinds of brain stuff and MRIs and a bunch of tests and neuropsych tests. And the good thing is, and this is something that I strongly, strongly recommend to athletes or anybody that might be doing something where they know there's a danger of hitting your head, whether that's purposefully like we do as football players, or by accident, like as a mountain bike rider, or anything else where the head is at risk. I would highly encourage people to, at a much younger age than certainly 67, I mean in their maybe even teens, 20s, 30s, to go and get exams and neuropsych exams to set a baseline, more or less, of where is your cognitive and memory performance now when you're healthy, so that if you do have your brain start disappearing, you can compare it to something. What's very difficult right now for people my age and older is there is nothing for me to compare it to in scientific testing. And so I'm compared with the general population, and that can be problematic.
Wow, that's such great advice. Next time you come to Boston, you have to let me know. I'll come and see you. Close by. But that's really great advice. And it's amazing, your lifestyle, slowing down your lifestyle. Yeah, right?
Well, yeah, when certainly the brain is, I don't know if slowing down is the right word, but it's when it's just not handling what it used to, when it's not connecting inside like it used to, when I can get overwhelmed by having too many inputs, whereas in my past I could have handled many, many more inputs into my consideration. When that starts slowing down, it's tough to say, you know what, and it's why I stepped away from full-time paid nonprofit leadership. I cannot do it anymore. I can't, and do an excellent job. There's no way. And so I can continue to fight it and continue to try to do that, and probably eventually be let go by whoever I'm working with or for, or I can decide, okay, I'm going to do what I can, and I'm going to adjust my life so that what I'm trying to do with myself is slower, it is more contemplative, it has less inputs that I've got to try to read immediately and balance with other inputs. And so I've just chosen to try to adapt my life. And so far, I've been, I think, fairly successful at that. Now, as my brain, if it does continue to deteriorate, there will be a point where even that's going to be very difficult. And at some point, I may need to be in a facility where there are others taking care of me. And that is not something that I hope happens. And yet it's something that I have to plan for.
Oh, you have so much courage. It's amazing. And it's amazing how your internal drive to contribute to others, you're still doing them, with hospice, victim advocates, being a victim advocate, as well as being a chaplain, non-denominational chaplain. I just think you know that. And good for you. That's amazing. So how is it within you that motivates you internally to continue to share your gifts so generous? I mean, you're contributing so much to so many in such a loving way.
I guess one of the more simple answers is I've done a bunch of things. And so I've been in the for-profit world. I've been in the academic world. I've been in the government world as a profession in these different worlds. And I've been able to experience what fit and what didn't fit. And making money just to make money, it just didn't fit. I could have been very successful. I could have been a very wealthy person, but it just didn't fit for me as the reason why I'm going to work and then getting off of work. And I want to make a good living in what I do, but just to make money just never worked for me. And then government didn't quite fit for me, and I won't really go into that, but the academic world, I could see doing that. At the same time, I like doing things versus just, say, teaching things. And so I find that the nonprofit world is incredibly challenging in a business sense, a huge, amazing challenge, sales-wise, knowing finance, managing people. But the difference is where when I was with private companies and either working as a salesperson or in managing others, again, my motivation for going to work and staying away from my family and all of the hardships, just doing work and managing people and the issues in their lives, that still happens in the nonprofit world. But when it's just for making money for me, it just didn't work for me. And so when I'm doing all of those difficult things and the end product is attempting to truly help people have better lives through different ways of doing that, wow, that just felt so much more. It's just the life, as I look back, as I get older, and as I am often with dying patients, and to know that for all of us, every one of us, including myself, there will be a day when I'm going to be looking back, it could be tomorrow, that did I have a good life? And what does good mean to me? What is good? If I measure this life I had, what was it? Was it good? And so I've had to think about that a lot over the years. I've not had to, but I've chosen to.
Right.
And trying to gauge the goodness of my life just feels better when I can feel that my time and energy has maybe helped some others. And now I still get caught up into the same kind of, just like in capitalism, it's like, it's so often make more money. Whatever you're making, it's never enough. Well, that can happen in the nonprofit too. If I'm helping one person, well, I should help 2. Well, no, really 10. No, 1,000. No, 5. There's still, we get caught in that trap of always more and more and more. And that's one of the teachings of Buddhism that I really admire is helping me understand, but also practice. Can I be grateful? Can I be grateful in the moment? Can I be grateful with what I just accomplished? Maybe tomorrow or the next day or the next week or next month, I may seek more again, but can I practice having this be enough right now? And I've had to practice that. And I continue to try to practice because it does take practice, especially in our system where the assumption is we have to want more. We always need to consume more. And in my opinion, that's what's destroying our world. I mean, we are consuming our world away. And the consumption that we do and the competitiveness with each other that we do in consuming against other countries or other groups of people, whether that's here at home or across the oceans. Man, I mean, there's only so much Earth. So, okay, how do we do this in a global level? Well, it starts with me. And can I be content? And content is still a hard word for me. I mean, I'm a 2-time Super Bowl champion, 1-time NFC champion, and to be content is not naturally in my bloodstream. It's like I should never be content. I should always be seeking more and more. But then at the same time, as I've started to have these successes in all these different fields of life professionally, is it just always more? Or is there a time, for a period of time, we can go, wow, this is good, and I want to appreciate it.
Wow. When you speak, I listen always. Have so much wisdom. Life is all about contribution, significance, and legacy. And you have such a calming effect. And our world is crazy. And you have some really valuable lessons to share that could really help young people. As you ask yourself thought-provoking questions that you don't have answers to, and then you search and you gain insights. What can you say to our youth about that, especially with all this craziness that we have going on?
Well, first off, I would say to younger, and the older I get, the more people are younger. And so it's like, number one, if there are younger people listening, thank you. I mean, because I think in many ways we've done young people a huge disservice in what we're handing them. We're handing them a world that is not in a good place. And we have an even more of an ability to destroy this earth for all of us, and especially though for them. And so I would ask, I would hope that our young people would maybe consider asking some of us old folks what we think, and consider listening, and then consider what we say, but do not wait for us to give you permission. Do not, because so many of us older folks are so stuck in our ways, and we're so stuck in what was, and we're so resistant to so many things, especially, oh my gosh, and so I really, really ask you young people to get a taste of different ways of interacting with our world and being exposed to different places and people in our world, so you can see it's not just your life, how you've lived it. There's so many other people out there. So taste that, get a sense of that. And then again, if you consider what we offer you as advice, thank you. What a gift for you to even offer that. But don't wait for us to give you permission. Do not, because we're just going to probably just try to hold on to our power and as long as we can, and not necessarily listen to you. So in that, one of the things I would ask you to do is start writing as a young person. And whether you're writing on a computer or you're writing on your cell phone type thing, a smartphone, whether I know for me, it's writing in a notebook. But I would say start writing what you're thinking, what you're wondering, what frustrates you, what makes you angry, what makes you feel an incredible amount of joy and love. And then really just by writing, starting, just acknowledge that that's happening with you and that your feelings are relevant. And what fits for you is especially relevant. And it's going to take practice for you, as it has for me, and it still is for me, to practice really noticing what my challenges are. One of my challenges right now is to listen to the news, read the news in a way that I can stay informed, but not be manipulated into being overly angry. And I'm not sure I'm an expert at that, but I'm sure of that. I'm sure of that. So I want to know what's going on, but I don't want to be manipulated. And so I would ask young people, try their best to not be seduced by distraction. I think, and I know our entertainment world, which is often delivered through this now, through our handheld thing, is there are strong economic reasons why these major companies are wanting us to be addicted to the phones and to certain entertainments, because we'll pay for them. So it's my gosh, I would just ask you all just to be aware of that and to find ways to live your life that it's not just virtual. Virtual has a place, but man, your ability to interact with real people and to listen to them and to watch them. And I think one of the greatest talents any of you can develop is your ability to sincerely listen and to sincerely find the right questions to ask so that then you can listen more and to really understand what are others seeing, what are others feeling. And then maybe you or I can discover, well, gosh, is there a way I can assist? And maybe not. But the power of asking the right questions and truly, sincerely open listening. Oh my gosh, one of the greatest, not only the greatest individual goals for myself, but also one of the greatest management tools. As a manager and a CEO, I learned that distinction in pro football from two different coaches. One who was a very famous, coach, and we won a Super Bowl, and it was Tom Landry, and he was a top-down coach. And he told everybody, here's what you're going to do, and you guys do it. I'll make the decisions and do it. And we won a Super Bowl, and we lost the Super Bowl, and we were the best in the world at that point. But then I won a Super Bowl again later in my career. It was with Al Davis, who was a real character in many, many ways. But he also taught me that you can win in the same sport, by asking questions and listening. And as a decision maker in that organization, sincerely considering what I just heard before I make my decision. And I chose to be an Al Davis kind of a leader. Now, Al Davis had other points as a leadership that can maybe be challenged. He was pretty aggressive in many of his ways, but it's just the fact that I felt so honored for somebody as smart and as experienced as him to actually ask me questions and sincerely listen to my answer, and to feel like he truly considered that as he then made larger decisions. That man, to this day, I would run out in front of a Mack truck, I think, for him, maybe. But that's the manager I hope I've been of other people, is somebody who sincerely listens, has to make tough decisions at times, but then try to further empower the people who will then try to deliver that service. Anyway, yeah, I'm going
No,
off.
it's really valuable. It's really valuable. And listening is so important. No one is listening to each other. We're just talking out, or yelling out, or screaming at each other. So it's really valuable. And I think it's the children, Dave, are the ones that are gonna transform our world. You know, I apologize to you. I think we did it, my generation. And you know, my goal is to see you is to challenge us, right? I would love to hear more about the nursing. My secret dream is to have you all make a presentation to Congress, teach them values. I think you do a great job with that. I really do. And if you're interested in that, I'll be happy to offer you complimentary coaching to get you there if anyone's interested. But as Dave said, listening is like such a missing there. And if we can become active listeners, we can understand and we'll have more compassion, right? Versus be so angry and be stuck in our ways, blinders on. We all have blinders. So thank you. That's really, really valuable advice.
And you know what, Chrissy, as I've gotten older and trying to be a better listener and a better identifier of what's the right question to even ask,
Okay.
it's just been, again, especially as I get older, as I truly try to listen and understand what I'm hearing, I get more and more of a sense that so much is paradox.
Yes.
So much is paradox. And all of us, including me, want simple answers. We want really simple yes or no, evil, good. We want simple. And the paradox is even in that question. It's like, okay, yes, I do want simple because I want to not be stretched too much and I want to be able to focus and be present with this simple something. But at the same time, I know it's messy. It's just, the reality is it's messy and it's complicated. And you can ask me all you want, you know, do I believe in this or do I believe in that? Well, it depends. It depends. You know, is God real? Is God not real? Well, let's talk about that more. What's your definition of God? I mean, I just have continued to find that the world is not overly simple. It's in the paradox that yes, yes, there are certain things that approach a yes or no. But I tell you, even in science, and science exists because scientists constantly ask questions. Even when they make a factual determination, the minute that they publish that, it's being torn apart by other researchers saying, well, maybe not. And so even science only exists because of the pursuit of mystery. And so yet there's such a value in mystery too. It's one of the things I admire greatly about many more Native American, what I understand of many Native American teachings is that, you know, the world it's simple, but it's not simple. And, you know, nature, we are a part of nature. We are interconnected with nature. There is no real separation. And that's simple, but it's also complicated. Anyway,
Right.
I'm going off.
No. But it's important because you gotta lean into the mess, allow the mess, because you get a lot of insights from that. And if you don't resist, it's amazing. So it really learn a lot. And
yeah, and it's funny, in both Buddhist and in some native teachings, there is a great deal of respect for mystery, and that there is real value in standing in mystery and not necessarily having to solve that mystery immediately.
right.
To really stand in that wonder, there's value in that. And oh my gosh, I absolutely have grown to really appreciate that concept.
I think
And
that's
that
great. That's
it's
the wonder and being with the question,
absolute wonder.
being
Yeah,
in
and
search.
absolutely. And yes, there's absolute value in determining why does this happen or what is that. But there's also just a great deal in mystery. And like, I know I'm going to die. We all are. And I have the pleasure and the challenge of often being with dying patients. And when I have had patients who are holding my hand die as I'm holding their hand, the scientific part of me can explain, okay, there's no more electrical signals in the brain and in the heart, and yet another part of me goes, what is the difference here? What just happened? And where did this energy go? Where did this spirit go? And so it's and then of course faith steps in and has different definitions of that. I am spiritually independent, and so I don't specifically choose one or the other. And yet I have some comfort in the mystery of I will either find out or not find out in the future. I know I will die. Will I actually know what's going on in some form or fashion? I don't know. And it's like a friend of mine said, who's a chaplain also, she said, I'm not afraid to die, but I may be afraid of how I die. And I'm like, wow, I think I might agree with that. Anyway, I'm getting off on.
No. That's true. And that just happened to a friend of mine who did that. She wasn't afraid. She was afraid of how, but she was comfortable, thank God, married, Schumacher industry. Gosh, you have so much food for thought. And I appreciate that. And in Insightful Player, the other goal has always been to inspire people to find their spiritual. There's no right or wrong. It's unique to each person. So I'm hoping our talk today will, get you a little thirsty for figuring out. That would be a wonderful thing for all of us to be on conscious spiritual path, whatever that is. So Dave, thank you. But before we go, you said that I want you to tell us about that raft trip this wild raft trip that you.
It's really interesting. There was an article that I saw in the newspaper, and it talked about a magazine article about a guy named Joe Hawley. And Joe is a former offensive center for Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and much younger than me. I think he retired from the NFL. Oh gosh, I think 5 or 6 years ago. And he is and the article was about him transitioning away from the football life, and how he's done that. And he's created his own organization called the Heart Collective, spelled H-A-R-T, the Heart Collective. And he started it by focusing on us former pro football, but also pro male athletes. He's now, I think, growing it further than just us. And he's been based out of Austin, Texas. So I would just I would offer folks a chance to just check out the Heart Collective, H-A-R-T. I went to 2 different retreats that he put together for us, former football players, one of them in Keystone, up in the mountains. And then later was this one a year ago in September, and it was a raft trip. And I used to be a kayaker, and it was amazing just to be back on the water again, but especially to be back on the water with these former pro football players was really wonderful. And it was even more special because somebody that came with the raft trip that participated is a writer and a former Olympic fencer by the name of Jason Rogers. And he has written an article actually about this raft trip. It was in January, was the Men's Health article that was dated January 19th, 2022. And it's just, Jason does a wonderful job, and he, being himself a incredibly, globally competitive athlete in fencing in the Olympics, he was able to see and understand a lot about how we were interacting with each other and trying to do our own self-exploration and healing and just looking forward in our lives. And so I highly recommend folks checking out Joe Hawley and the Heart Collective, and also Jason Rogers and some of the writing that he has done. I think both of them actually have their own specific, what do you call them? Podcast. There we go. And I know that's what I podcast. So anyway, yeah, but thank you. Yeah. They're 2 amazing men.
Yeah, I'd love to meet them and see if they'd like to come on our podcast. Great. Thank you for that. And before we go, I just want to read one of Dave's guiding principles. Dave is one of the insightful players, and you can find his story on insightfulplayer.com. And one of his guiding principles that I'll share with you is ask for and listen to advice and input from people of all ranks and all walks of life. This not only demonstrates true respect, but it also leads to the most effective influence. So Dave has a lot of wisdom to share. And if anyone wants to reach out to Dave again, you can find him on LinkedIn. We'll have his LinkedIn links on our show. So Dave, thank you so much. It's been such a treat, as always, to spend time with you.
Well, Chrissy, thank you so much. And we all got a lot of work to do to continue to find and create kindness and caring. And so thank you for what you do, Chrissy.
Oh, thank you, Dave. And so everybody, we're all about helping transform our world into being more inclusive, kinder, and more loving. So watch Dave's video, because you're going to learn a lot more, because he's real special. All right, now everyone, remember, go out and vote. Midterms are so important. Please vote. We need your vote. Everybody, get up and go. All right. Well, thank you all, and very special, heartfelt thank you to you, Dave. And we'll see you all next time. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The entire Insightful Player podcast initiative is dedicated to the late Tom Constantino. Tom Constantino was my PR consultant. He was over the moon fabulous. He was really an exceptional human being, and Insightful Player wouldn't have made it to where it is now if it wasn't for Tom. So Tom, up there in heaven, I just want you to know you're going to live in my heart forever, and I am forever grateful for you. Thank you.